Hey guys, Sam here at Any Studios. Thanks very much for checking the video out. I want to take a look at some acoustic guitars today because I've been recording a lot of acoustic guitars recently. Well, I've recorded a lot for years really, but just recently I've been doing a lot. And there's some things that can really kind of accentuate sounds in a mix and some things that you kind of put on as a matter of course. Reverb is one of those things. And I feel like putting reverb on for the sake of putting reverb on is a little bit weird, and it's a little bit kind of, it can just make stuff sound a bit worse. But I found a really great kind of special effect reverb that is completely free, and you should really download it because I love it. And I think using this technique that I'm about to show you, it just adds like a synthy kind of quality to the acoustic guitar. It's best if I just show you, so let's check it out. Now this is using Tal Reverb 4. Now I did a video a little while ago, which I'll link up the top, the like 10 best free versions, free alternatives to legendary plugins. And one of my choices for reverb was this, the Tal Reverb 4, because it's just great. But one feature that I didn't really touch upon in that video, which to me is quite unique, there are a few other plugins that do it, but this one does it really well, is like a pitch shift kind of thing. So let me just play you a before and after, and you'll hear what's going on. Sounds kind of dry. Let's bring it in. What's that all about? Well, for this bus, I've actually got two reverbs, so I'm just going to talk you through the exact setup so you can do it exactly the same. I'm on Logic, you can be on whatever you want. I've set up a bus from my acoustic guitar here. Now I've got a couple of different ways of doing it. I've got a strummy one as well that I can show you. Just set up a bus, and bus 10 is one I've chosen. And I've got two instances of the reverb. Now the first one is at 100% wet, so I've got none of the dry signal coming through at all. These ones are kind of not as important as what's going on down here. But you go to 100% on the tune amount and you tune it up 12. So that's going up an octave. And I'm turning all the modulation off. So if I were to get rid of the second one and just solo it, it would sound like this. So it's just pitch shifting the guitar up, but then adding like the reverb, obviously. And the size of the reverb is determined just here. But on the second one, what I'm doing is the exact same thing on the tune, and the amount and the size is kind of relatively similar, but set dry and wet to 50-50. So the dry is actually what's coming in off this reverb, and then the wet is what's coming off this reverb. So I'm 50-50ing them. So when I actually bring that reverb in, you'll hear how it just goes like there's an octave above that again. Now this is just an Apple loop, something I had lying around, but for finger-picked acoustic guitar, it sounds really cool, and it adds a kind of ethereal, almost like a fairground kind of thing. And it can be a bit haunting when you've got like minor chords in there, and depending on what you're playing, it adds a different quality. But this is just the finger-picked stuff. If I just close these ones down, then you can hear the more strummed stuff. Now this is alt pop acoustic strummed, and kind of sounds like that. But when you've got the effects in there, let's take the effects off first of all, and then we'll bring them in. Pretty standard. Let's bring it in. Just kind of adds a fun quality to it. I actually like it a little bit better on the finger-picked stuff. And reverb, right, reverb is kind of twofold to me. One kind of reverb is to make it sound as natural as possible and to make it sound like it fits in a certain acoustic space. Reverb for realism. The other reverb is the fun reverb, the one that makes it sound like it's not in a space. It makes it sound like it's greater than it kind of is. It makes it sound like it's massive, going through a plate, going through an enormous church, or whatever it is. And this lies firmly in the second camp. This is fun reverb for fun acoustic guitar kind of reasons. And when you're finger picking stuff, like, it just kind of feels like there's a lot of space in there without it. If I just mute it again, it needs some reverb. Now, admittedly, I could take that tune all the way down, take the amount all the way down, and just mute the second one and hear it kind of on its own, and you'll hear a cool reverb sound. adds a certain quality. But to me, reverb in this instance is kind of the first one. It's making it fit into a space. The second one is very much adding a load of character, adding a load of coolness, adding a load of fairgroundness to it. So I love it. I think it's a really cool trick. Tau Reverb 4, completely free. Go check it out. It's great. It works really well for vocals as well. But that tune is a bit of a lifesaver when you're looking for something a little bit different, and you can just add an octave above, and it just makes the whole thing sound really cool. I hope it's been useful for you. I'll see you again soon. Take care.